Well, those are some of the very big questions that are in front of us in exploring this topic. And as you're aware, the very first article that I wrote to you was that I don't think it's a yes or no answer. It's a yes and no answer. That trying to make it a false dichotomy of one thing or the other doesn't make us smarter in thinking about these things. No, first of all, it isn't about an awareness of death that propels my philosophy. Actually, quite the contrary. It's my own experience of transcendence. Transcendence in the act of making music in the first instances, in the first two-thirds of my life, of those moments of gestalt and symbiosis that occur between a composer who died hundreds of years before, the musicians and their instruments, and the audience in a particular space. They come together. They take all of us out of time and space and into completely new realms of imagination that we don't even have language for, and therefore we have music. And so my speculations and my appreciation for what I would call our singular experience of us all being a singularia, a center of consciousness that is as vast and complicated as the galaxy that we exist in the stars that swirl around the Milky Way, that our neural connections are as vast and as complicated as that each one of us as a self-conscious individual has the capacity for transcendence and epiphany. And this is not just my own experience. This is an experience that I've shared with others, I've observed with others, I've read from others, and that I look forward to finding more of as I explore my life and passage here on this earth. So death is just part of the equation. It is not the motivator for me. Technology absolutely enhances it and destroys it. Technology is first used in military equipment and music, historically, throughout our known cultural time. That's where you first see technology come into being. And with digital technology, which is the basis of the singularity, the technological singularity, and the powers of processing with computers, we first saw it in the military and in music. The first things to being made were for music synthesizers, and Ray was one of the pioneers in that. He made some of the first wonderful synthesizers that propelled music into a completely new dimension of plasticity. Now, I'm an analog musician. I made music with my breath, with blowing it through horns, and with my ears and with my body. Yet at a certain point, I had to start looking to digital technology and going, what is going on here? And participating in that. And I spent the last 10 years of my life converting from an analog musician into a digital artist and technologist. First in music, but then in film, and now in exploring immersive technologies, which I believe are actually a response to the idea that we have to download ourselves into machines, that on the contrary, we can create even more fabulous symbiosis of machinery and equipment and media to allow us to explore and have adventures in worlds that are only limited by our imagination. That the vision of the holodeck that we have with Star Trek is like the vision of flying that we had 2,000 years ago. Eventually, we're going to get there. Personally, I think we're going to get there a lot faster than we ever thought we would. And then in the next 10 to 20 years, we'll have the capacity with technology to explore our minds, ourselves, our being through the simulations and simulacrums of a holodeck type of experience. And this will not be only for our entertainment, but for our healing and our education. We'll be able to train people to do very precise and dangerous things through these simulations. We'll also be able to heal trauma. Now, while life expectancy has increased, just like many other things have increased. That is not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But it's been for the very, very few. There are still people on this planet who are living in Paleolithic times in some respects. And if left to their own devices, they'd probably be happy doing that. As Ken Wilber points out in his integral philosophy, all the previous epochs exist at the same time now. We are including and transcending all the time. But it's a very pointy edge at the top. And the idea that we might download ourselves into machines and live in some sort of hive consciousness that is the matrix, which is basically what Ray's talking about, though they don't like that pointed out to them, is to me absurd, unnecessary, and very, very dangerous, because who's going to control it?